Equally important as knowing what discernment is sometimes is knowing what discernment is not. So often I see young people especially fighting battles that they're just unnecessary to fight, or considering certain intellectual aspects of discernment that aren't true or aren't part of the discernment process and could be dismissed. Maybe a few examples would be helpful. One of those things is that when we are doing discernment, especially if we're mature in the spiritual life, right? Remember that we said that freedom is the ability and the power that we have, the ability that we have to choose between good and evil, right? So as to be able to choose the good. That is freedom. Let's presume that we're already mature in the spiritual life. Even if we still struggle with temptations, even if sometimes we still choose what is not good for us, we actually know the difference between good and evil. So when we get to discernment, we're not exactly talking about discerning between good and evil. We shouldn't have to discern that, right? There's already a knowledge of what is good and what is evil, and it's up to my power, my virtue to be able to choose. Let's presume further that we're now discerning our religious vocation, whether it's priesthood, religious life, holy matrimony. Let's presume that is one of those things. I'm not choosing between good and evil. I'm choosing between two good things. And in fact, I hate to say it, but sometimes that's exactly what makes it harder, because we're attracted to two good things. And now what I'm doing in discernment is that I'm choosing between two good things, but I'm hearing God's voice. I want to hear his voice so that he is the one that's choosing for me. He is the one that's informing the way he created me, what he desires me to do, how I can lay down my life for him and for his church. That's good discernment. But what it's not is choosing between good and evil, meaning that, Father, if I choose the wrong vocation, is God going to send me to hell? No, that's not the reality. The reality is that when we are honest with God, when we spend time in prayer, when we do a mature discernment process, right, we take the next best step that we know how to take, and we continue listening to God. We continue discerning, Lord, is this the way that you want me to go? That's why, by the way, seminary takes 6 years minimum. Right? That's why religious life, there's a postulancy, there's a novitiate, and then there's time before your final vows, years, right? That's why in marriage, we should be dating for a while. We should be discerning with that person. There's no time limit necessarily on marriage, but it should be a mature discernment over time so that we know that this is a good thing already. We're just asking God to inform us. Is this his will? Is this what he really wants for us? Maybe the second thing that I would say that follows on the heels of the difference between good and evil and choosing between two goods is the reality is that we're not called to choose with certitude. Some people say, I have to know. And Father, I'm not 100% sure. But let me tell you that we're not going to be 100% sure. Choosing in discernment, especially in our sacred vocation, is not choosing with knowledge or certitude. We don't have 100% certitude. We're choosing by faith. It would deny our faith to have certitude about exactly what we should do. And so God is asking us to gather all the information, to spend time with him, and to choose beyond a reasonable doubt, right? It's like a jury. We're saying we have all the evidence gathered together, and I'm saying beyond a reasonable doubt, I believe that God is calling me to take a step in this direction. Not to be paralyzed, but to take a step, right? And so when we do that, we realize that God is calling on our faith, to put our faith and our trust in him, the one who is speaking. Not in our own voice, not in other voices. We're putting our trust and our faith in God's voice, who has shown us through many different ways that he's calling us to take a step in this direction. So first of all, let's not be fearful. We're choosing between two good things. And let's be bold. Let's be bold in knowing that God is speaking to us. God is leading and guiding us. And we have the ability to boldly take a step in the right direction, following his voice and honoring him by saying, Lord, I know by faith that you've been leading me, and I'm going to take a step with all the knowledge, information that I have in the direction that you have led me thus far. And I ask that you would continue to show me your will.